Welcome back, everybody. And I mean, welcome back. I guess it's been a few days. I have to be honest with my listening audience, as I always am. That's one of the reasons why I have such a large audience. And people have been with me for 23 plus years, and I'm the longest tenured radio personality at WJOB, is because of my authenticity. You don't have to agree with me. I've often had people come up to me and say, I don't agree with half of what you say, but I know that you're authentic, and that's one of the number one things you need to be in the world. I think people appreciate that more than anything. I think our local elected officials, as well as state and federal, would it be good for them. It would serve their own purpose for more authenticity instead of looking at what the polls say or what you think should be said. But nonetheless, it's great to be back. And 219-845-1100. I'll let Jim explain the whole thing. My understanding is we've been down because the transmitter lacked power. And, that's a NIPSCO thing. I'll let Jim handle that. I was going to go into the NIPSCO raise, which any of you can. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I read the paper via electronically. So I could have swore that in the last couple of days there was an article about NIPSCO and their price rates. Now, I just cursory went on there because you can go back the last couple, 2 or 3 days. And it is miraculous, unless I'm missing it, and someone could please do the work for me, they have miraculously moved that off of the electronic copy. I was talking with someone yesterday about it, someone that's been in the business a long time. And that's what NIPSCO will do. NIPSCO will write a check, and then they hold a lot of power. Let's just call it the way that it is. I know all the people that have been the public face of NIPSCO going all the way back to Victor Meyer. Okay? I've gotten along with all of them. I know them. None of this is personal. Ricky Klinsky, I consider a friend. So they're just doing their job. It's the game that's broken with NIPSCO. There's no competition. They are in bed with the Republican Senate. Okay? Now, you guys know that I lost one of my best friends, Tom Kyleman, who was a spokesperson for BP, and he used to tell me all the time, you want to know what part of the problem is downstate? NIPSCO and their relationship with the Republican Senate. They will get anything they want. And they do, because that's the way that it works in this state. And you even see next door in Illinois, people are going to jail over this. You never hear any of the Democrats in Illinois talking about how their leaders of their party were making deals which raise the rates for all residents. You never hear anyone talk about that. And there's 5 or 6 people going to summer school over that. Over here, they don't need to go to jail because they get their rates. All they got to do is put in for their rate. And they're going to get it. And this is a big one. I want to say 23, 30%, this and that. People are starting to get their bills. And then here's the deal. It's like anything else. You go into a store, very rarely do you buy the cheapest product. You buy the most value-added product. I would surmise we pay the most and get the least from NIPSCO. Their service is horrendous as a whole. But yet they get a price increase whenever they want to. Have you ever tried to deal with them? It's like dealing with the government. They do whatever they want when they want. So I'll let Jim go into that. But we were down, and this comes to Comcast. So we have a big storm on Sunday, rain galore, and we're going in and out with Comcast, which also is a problem here. So the infrastructure in the northern part of the county is old. They're not investing like they need to. And one could only surmise when you're looking at this NIPSCO deal, are they raising the rates for everyone so that they have the money for them to go do all these data centers? And I'll make a prediction today at 6:29 on July 31st. I'll make a prediction today. You can write it down. That the rates that we pay will be higher than the rates that those businesses pay that are doing the data centers. So people that are on fixed incomes, you have people calling in and bitching and moaning about a 1% food and beverage tax. This is a 25 to 30% increase per month in perpetuity. It's not going down. It doesn't go that way. It always goes up. And one should ask themselves, to all of the state senators, the state reps, your governor, where do you stand on this? I think that you want to talk about people putting pressure on government and on NIPSCO is basically a quasi-governmental entity. Okay? They have no competition. Dealing with them is like dealing with the IRS. And they basically tell you to go pound sand because they can. You have nowhere else to go. In my business, there's 350 roofers in Lake and Porter County. Our prices, we have to deal with supply and demand. They don't have to. And that's just the way that it's going to be. When you don't have competition, you can do what you want. And treat your customers the way you want to treat them. So, I mean, sometimes we bitch and moan about small things. This is not a small thing. Getting a 30% increase on your electric bill for the rest of your life, and it's just going to continue to go up. The pie is the pie. The pie in Lake County is what everyone makes is the pie. If you have one entity starting to take 30%, they're taking off the plate of other businesses and other things that money would be spent on. That takes away money from people doing, advertising here. It takes away from people doing roofs. It takes away from people sending their kids to college. It takes away from everything else because the first thing you have to do is pay your mortgage or your rent and then your utility. So they get their money first. Why did I say today, July 31st is an important day in my life? 30 years ago today. 30 years ago today, and I was thinking a little bit about this because of the heat, was the day that my father passed away inside Comiskey Park during the heat wave. July 31st, 1995. It's also my nephew Aaron Payong's birthday. Happy birthday. And it's been hot like that this summer. Not quite as hot as that stint. If you remember, they were putting people in refrigerated, semi-trucks because the Cook County coroners couldn't handle all the bodies. And my father was one of those. It was a battle to get his body back from Cook County during that time so that we could lay him to rest. And I remember driving up to Michael Reese and seeing him after he had passed. But 30 years ago. So, Pops, we love you still. So think about this. I think I was 26 when my dad died. So, and of course, the first couple years you don't know. So my father's been gone longer than the number of years that I had him in my life. So, for all those people, you got to try to keep yourself healthy. Try to stick around. All those good things. So 219-845-1100. We are back. I got to be honest with you, as I always am. I didn't even know this station was down until they told me. Because I was supposed to fill in on Monday. And then I was supposed to fill in on Tuesday. And I unplugged for a month. And I got to just tell you, and this sounds bad, I feel better. And maybe that's my way of saying to those people that call in and bitch and moan about the same thing, that I feel better not listening to the same old crap every morning. And maybe we should broaden our horizons about what is discussed here. I was listening on the way in, and they were playing a replay. And here's what I was having this discussion with one of my best buddies yesterday. Kemper, I'm going to bring you in on this. So people call in all the time. I give my opinion all the time, right? Just because you have your opinion doesn't mean that you may be right in what you think, but this is America. I said this yesterday because we were talking. A buddy of mine said he went down and the kind of the rule, they went camping. It was kind of an unwritten rule that they weren't going to talk about Trump because there was a lot of people that were for Trump and a lot of people against Trump. Some of the same family. People's parents, it tended to be that the parents were a little bit more conservative, the kids were a little bit more liberal. And I'm sure, I don't know how your family dynamics are. Mine is that we all don't agree on the same thing, and that's okay. I think life's boring if you agree on the same thing. But here's the one thing that I say, because inevitably when in my daily life and doing estimates, people talk about, before we talk about projects, they talk about what's going on in their life. And so politics comes up. And I will guarantee you this. You may hate Donald Trump. Maybe you don't. You can say whatever you do.
No,
okay?
I'm not going to say that.
I mean, you can. It's up to you. But I'm using you as an example. Or let's just say customer A and customer B. Or person A, person B. I will guarantee you this. I've heard this hundreds of times. Those people that love Donald Trump, love him dearly. They think that the world begins with him, dies with him. And they're going to believe that to the day they die. And you're not going to change their opinion. And they believe that they're saving the United States and they're saving the world. They believe that. And you can give them a lie detector test and they will pass. So conversely, those people that think Donald Trump is ending democracy and it's the end of the world and that this Trump administration is completely going to change the world in a negative way for the rest of their life, they believe that. And they'll pass a lie detector test. So who's right, you can argue about, but you're not going to change the other person's opinion. And the last time I checked, and I go back to government at St. Thomas More, government being taught by Coach Luketic at Bishop Knoll, you're not going to get anything majorly done without both parties. So if you think that you're going to steamroll the other party, I've been around long enough where I've seen that happen. And the pendulum's going to come back. It always does. So you're not going to have meaningful long-term legislation if only one party's trying to shove it down the other party's throat, because undoubtedly what you are saying is never as good as you say it is, because politicians do. In sales, you're taught one main thing in sales. Promise good, deliver great. In politics, it's the exact opposite. Promise great, and they don't even deliver good. They deliver at best average. So the pendulum's going to swing. It always does. And so what are we going to do every 4 years? The other party's going to come in and dismantle what the party's doing currently, because that's what's happening right now. And that's great if you're a Trump guy and you love it. And yeah, hey, the midterms are going to come in. I'll tell you what's going to happen. I've been through this before. You can go back to when Obama won in 2008. He had super majorities. In 2010, you had the rise of the Tea Party. Then all of a sudden, it's the same cycle. We're going to run into a gubernatorial race in Virginia. And if you remember, the Democrats thought they were running the world, and all of a sudden, Bob's loves Jobs, McDonald ends up beating this guy, and all of a sudden, they start winning. Tea Party, the biggest amount of seats lost in the history. Obama in 2010 lost the supermajority, lost houses and Senate seats across this country like no business, and that was the rise of the Tea Party. Then they won in Virginia. I'm predicting right now that the Democrats win in New Jersey and they win in Virginia next year. And you're going to have to see the same thing. So you can't get meaningful things done in this country unless you work together. So you can fight and say the other person's a piece of garbage, and they're going to say you're a piece of garbage. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get anything big done. Here's the saying. you're going to win the battle and lose the war. But if that's okay for you, that's great. But I guarantee you I'm right on this. And you hear it every morning. You're, oh, that other person's so dumb. I can't believe they believe what they... This is America. You have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. That's what makes us the greatest country in the world. So both sides talk about democracy, and then they go to try to cancel the other person. The hypocrisy of these parties, they are running us into the ditch. Now all of a sudden, and I'll leave you, let's go to the phone lines, but all of a sudden, oh, Kamala Harris isn't running for re-election or running for the governorship of California. It's the same thing on the Republican side. Or Dick Durbin's not running, or this Republican's not running. We don't want them. That group's the group that's run us into the ground for $37 trillion. Why would you go there? That's like the Democratic Party in Lake County going to Gary and recruiting their candidates. Why would you recruit your candidates from the community that's doing the worst? In business, we go recruit people from someone that's winning. This whole nostalgia for this group of people that have been in for the last 35 years that have run our company into the ground, why would you go get talent from them? They've already shown that they can't win. So, I unplugged the radio, and here's what I do at night. I watch as little as I need. If you really watch these shows, and I bounce around just so I know what's going on between Newsmax, Fox, News Nation, CNN. I can't watch MSNBC. I'm not going to lie to you. So I watch those four. There's only three main stories every day. There's three main stories. So, if you're watching News Nation, you're going to get at 6 o'clock. At 7, it's Cuomo. At 8, it's Vittert. And you're going to get